Good evening, everybody. How the devil are we? Yeah, it's sloppy second time. We are back. Myself and Mr. Fox here. What does the Fox say? Leicester are going to win. Of course he does. It's the prediction show. It's the last one before the World Cup. I can't believe I'm saying that. Joined as always by ex-Fox Steve Lynex and a special guest today, standing in for Brad, better looking, got a better tan. Of course, it's Karl, and he'll be joining us straight. Let's get going before I say something.
It's time. Strap yourself in because we're set up, switched on, and ready to go.
You are watching and listening to Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and your favourite podcasts. Till I Die TV, your first choice for everything Leicester City. Tune in and join in now.
And now, here's your host.
Right, Chris.
All right there. Welcome along. Another Fox. We've got Foxes everywhere. It is the prediction show. It's the last one before the World Cup. Of course, the thing to predict is how many managers will still be in their job when we come back on Boxing Day. That, of course, is the question. I mean, so far, Brighton obviously lost their manager. Chelsea sacked their manager. Aston Villa sacked their manager. Southampton have sacked their manager. Wolves have sacked their manager. You're not going into hiding, are you, at all, Brendan? Yeah, I think he might be. Let's get our guests in. We'll bring him in. You know him. He's got a face that launched 1,000 brick walls, knock them down. Steve, ex-Fox in the box. How the devil are you, sir?
I'm fine, thanks, mate.
Good. We'll have a look at last week's in a second. You didn't have a bad week. You actually beat Brad. Now, some would say that's why he's not here this evening.
He's scared of me now, mate. I've had 2 good weeks now, so
yeah,
pressure's on him.
I think the shock is that these good weeks have actually been when you've been on, not when somebody's been standing in for you. but talking about standing in, let's get him in. You all know him. He's my favourite Leeds fan. I'll be honest with you, he's the only Leeds fan I know. But he's my favourite Leeds fan. Let's welcome him in. Karl, good evening, sir.
Evening, Chris. Evening.
This is Steve Lynex, ex-Leicester City player. This is Karl, Leeds United fan.
Hi, Karl.
Nice to meet you, Steve. Nice to meet you.
Meeting for the first time. So it's the last one before the World Cup, Karl. I can't believe it.
I know. I can't believe it as well, too. I'm not surprised Brad's on here because I know he's been betting against Leeds every time he says 5-0 every so time when the Leeds are playing against opposition teams. So, I'm glad he's not here tonight, but I can replace him on a permanent basis if I like to, if he's not going to come back.
Indeed. Well, let's have a look because Steve had a good week last week. So let's bring last week's up, shall we? And have a look. He's slowly getting there. He is slowly getting there. Steve, you got one spot on with Liverpool Tottenham. That must have made you happy.
It did, mate. Absolutely did.
I don't know if you know this, Karl, but Steve hates Tottenham Hotspur. with a vengeance. He's not particularly that bothered about Arsenal as well, if truth be known, but he's mellowing towards Arsenal this year.
Over teams a million towards Arsenal this year. It's not a surprise, to be quite honest with you. So, but yeah, like I said, it's for Spurs, man. They're very, very one of those teams just don't play too well. As we watched it on Sunday, they were just boring us, to be quite honest with you.
And did you watch the game, Steve, on Sunday?
I did, mate. Yeah.
I mean, I did a watch along for it, as you know. You popped in,
Yeah.
and was it me? I was very disappointed to say that these are so-called two of the top six clubs, or the big six, if you like. I shouldn't say top six, big six, according to Sky, and their passing was awful.
Yeah. I think there's too much hype about the big six. I think at the moment we're seeing top six managers struggle. They're coming under criticism which they haven't had before, and so justified, I think, and it's making it interesting.
I think so, definitely. And like you said, Karl, Brad's not in, but he was the one person that predicted you to lose against Bournemouth. And what the hell? Nobody would have predicted a 4-3. I mean,
no, not really. But I know Brad's got this agenda against us for some obvious reasons. So, and it's been well documented quite well. We got on Rich Sports a couple of months ago and last season about that. So it's been documented quite well. But he can go against us anytime he wants. That's fine. But he knows he's going to be proven wrong the next day, or sometimes if we get a decent result, whatever. So.
Well, can I just say, because Steve and myself, we both went for a Leeds win. We've got faith in you.
Thank you. That's all I care about. That's all I care about.
Well, I know whatever happens, last game of the season, you'll probably win it and stay up as always.
As usually do, yeah.
Right, let's just have a look at what games we've got. Well, I'll tell you what, now, before we actually look at the games that are coming up, let me just get rid of this a second, and let me bring this in. I just thought I'd have a look at this, seeing as we're going to go into a break soon for the World Cup, is that Chris, that's myself, obviously, and Josh, another Leicester fan, we predicted where teams would be come the end of the season. Now, I am really sorry here, Karl.
I know. I see it right, my friend. I see it right there. Yeah. I know.
I know. I am sorry, but I do have Leeds. I had Leeds finishing bottom purely on last season's form. I thought you would struggle. Southampton, we all got dead on. Forest, I thought will stay up. I still think they possibly will at the end of the bottom three. Just shows this season, Man City, okay, we got them winning it. They're second. Newcastle are doing well. Spurs, thereabouts where we thought, again with Man United. But Steve, I mean, it has been such a weird league. I mean, if you look at Leicester and the start we had, normally you'd be saying we would have been cut off. There'd be a gap, but Liverpool, until they beat Tottenham, were closer to the relegation zone than they were the top four.
That's what you want. That's the interesting thing about it. You look at the pre-seasons that have gone by. You know, the season's over by before Christmas because you know who's going to win it and you know who's going to be second.
Yes,
but this is how it should be all the time. The top team shouldn't be given their top six status. They should have to earn it. And I think this year there's a lot of teams got to earn it, and that's the nice thing about it.
Couple of surprises in there. Arsenal doing well, Karl. But in fairness, you know, Leeds United. I mean, you know, 12th. And I'm not being, you know, sort of disrespectful here, but you've got to be happy with 12th, haven't you, at the moment?
I'm more comfortable with 12th at the moment, and it's kind of exceeded expectations where we want to be. I think majority of the Leeds fans said at least 17th or above, which was the minimum target which we needed. And, you know, 12th at the moment has been good for us, especially we're not too far behind with from Brentford and Crystal Palace and Fulham as well. It gives us a good chance to even try to get into the top half before the break, the World Cup starts, and you know, so that's vital. But you look at the other teams such as Newcastle, where they are in third at the moment. You know, you have to consider them as a top 6 club by the end of the season if they do get it. Same for Brighton as well too. If they get into the Europa League, you know, next season as well. You know, like what Steve said, you have to earn that top 6 credibility. You don't. It's not handed to you on the plate.
No. And Steve, I mean, we're sat in 14th as Leicester City. We could, if results, you know, if we lose at the weekend and results don't go our way, we could end up in the bottom 3. For me, it's quite important that I go into the World Cup and we're not in that bottom 3 zone. I don't want to be looking at us in the relegation zone for 5 weeks. Psychologically, do you think it's the same for the players?
I think, to be honest, the pressure is going to be more on the top 6 clubs because most of the players that are going away, you know, they're going to struggle when they come back because of the heat and whatever they've been playing and whatever, getting back into the rhythm of English football. But no, I think it's all down to the big money kind of things, you know. We've been criticising Leicester, we've been criticising Leeds, people like that, and you're going to have 2/3 of the team of the league not being able to spend like the big clubs do. So no matter whoever takes over the clubs, they're always going to be battling the same things, and they're always going to have, like, if Leeds were to change their manager now, it wouldn't change how Leeds play because Leeds haven't got the funding and they can't get the players in. But it's the crowd that keeps Leeds up. It's not the players that keep Leeds up. It's the crowd that keeps Leeds up. And I think the expectation, like I was talking before on air, mate, you know, it's an intimidating place to go. And it was the most intimidating place I played for because you can feel it from all the stands all the way around, which is a good thing for Leeds. And I think they've got to keep that. And I think that's will win them a lot of games.
And I think, Karl, like you say, it's true. And you know, I think Everton had it last year that their fans sort of have that effect for them. But at Man United, nobody's scared to go to Manchester Man United now, are they?
No, not like it was more than 20 years ago. And I think since Fergie left, that atmosphere did change quite a bit. That feel was gone completely because we didn't know we knew at some point Man United would be lost without Fergie, and you saw the patterns of the crowd. The Old Trafford crowd is not very more vocal. You know, I like what Steve said. When you go to Ellen Road, it's more vocal, regardless whatever league we are in. And I think during after coming back from COVID and when the fans came back in, I think the fans was trying to get their voice back after being away for over 12 months of football, you know, nearly 2 years of football, of not being in the ground. It's been taking a while to get that atmosphere back because, you know, I think that's what we're seeing it a lot now from our fans during this season because that's been more vocal. We have been for a while because I think it was kind of more quiet at the time before Bielsa got the sack this past January. So it is a bit of a change. It is a bit of a change now that we are getting a bit more vocal now because it's taking time to find our feet.
Well, we saw the games just are popped up there. So let's get into it, as they say. First game, Steve, Manchester City in second place. They had a bit of luck against us, but I say luck, it was a fantastic free kick. In fairness, they had a lot of luck at the weekend against Fulham. They've apart from the game against Liverpool that they lost and how they managed to do that with the Liverpool form, I don't know. But they are entertaining Brentford, who have only won one in the last 5, and that was 5 games ago when they beat Brighton. You've got to say it's going to be Man City, haven't you?
It's got to be Man City, but if you look at the way Man City are playing, they're not railroading teams like they used to. You know, they're getting the goals, they're getting the results, but they're not railroading, hammering teams like they used to all the time. And Man City really haven't changed their style much. It's just that the teams that are playing Man City now have gone to the attitude, well, okay, Man City ain't, you know, the Man City they were, we'll take the game to them. So that's good in a way. But Man City, Arsenal's making it, though they've got to keep winning the games. So I'm going to see Man City win this one 3-0.
3-0. Okay. All I would say, Karl, is keep an eye on what I type in, because what you say, what I type in, sometimes Steve will tell you doesn't match up for some
That's
reason.
fine.
I think it's my age. Would you go for a home win for this one? It's an early kickoff on Saturday on the TV.
Yeah, I would actually. Like Steve said, you got a point. And I was reading about an article today about this Man City team is not the best attractive team playing. And Steve is right, actually. You know, Pep's not like he used to did at Barcelona when they won 6 trophies in 1 year. But like I said, it's a matter of they win the games. And like I said, Arsenal need to keep capitalizing with it every single game, you know, towards the end of the season now if they want to get close to City than City finishing like 10 or more points more than Arsenal. So, you know what? I would agree with Steve what he said. But I think City will win this comfortably despite Brentford's poor form at the moment. I will go for 3-0 as well.
For 3-0. Ooh, okay. Yeah, I can't see them conceding. Do you think, Steve, it is the last game before the World Cup? And when you look at all the players that Manchester City have got, they'll all be going off to the World Cup, well, most of them in one form or another. Does it, as an ex-player, does it play on your mind and you think, oh, maybe I might not go in for that tackle. I don't want to get injured. I mean, we saw JJ the other night got injured. Ben Chilwell's got injured. Mason Mount, I think, is a doubt. I mean, do players think, right, I'm just maybe I'll just back off that one?
I think they do more nowadays in the modern game. I don't think they did so much when I was playing because, like, when you had small squads and you had to play anyhow. But you can see it in the, you can see it into the mentality of the top players now. They want to play in the World Cups. They want to play in the Champions League. That's all they ever talk about, Champions League, World Cups and that. So, yeah, they will be keeping an eye on not getting injured and wanting to go to the World Cup. But trying to do that, pulling out a tackle, well, there's no tackles in the game anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think it's only going to be by unluck if they don't make it.
I'm going to go because I think Brentford I think they'll get a goal, to be honest with you. I can't see Brentford getting a goal, but I've got to agree with you, 3-1 for me to Man City. And just out of interest, Brad had also gone 3-0 to Manchester City for that one. So he was agreeing with us. Bournemouth, Steve, I mean, started, well, after they sacked Scott Parker. I mean, I had Bournemouth one place above Leeds, and that was purely because of Scott Parker. Now he's gone. Gary O'Neill was given the position temporarily. The sale was supposed to be going through. The new owners were there when we visited Bournemouth and they beat us. But the wheels have come off the wagon a little bit. I mean, he the fact that he got a 0-0 after that 9-0 drubbing, all credit to him. And he did go on a bit of a run, and everybody was saying, oh, give him the job, give him the job. But, I mean, Bournemouth now, that they're right down to 17th. They've not won in 5. They've only got a point, which was a point away at Fulham, and they've lost to Southampton. And you've got to be pretty bad to lose to Southampton at the moment. They lost to West Ham. They lost, well, they were unlucky, let's be honest with you, to Tottenham. They lost 2-3 to Tottenham, but they were unlucky. And of course, we know what happened, Karl, at the weekend. Whereas I've forgotten who they're playing now. Everton, they're in trouble as well. I think if they don't get anything this weekend, Everton, and they're only one place above in 16th, and they've only won the one game in 5, I think Lampard could be gone.
This is a hard one. Bournemouth, they're cloning into another Southampton. You don't know which Bournemouth's going to turn up. 1 week it's going to be, a good Bournemouth, and next week they're going to be absolutely abysmal. I can't see. There's a lot of talk about Frank being in trouble, but I can't see it, to be honest. They're building the new ground. They don't want too much, change. And I think I think he'll come good. He's got to get something going up front. They're not scoring enough goals, and I'm afraid that who they going to put in. So it's going to be a tight one, I think, and I think I'm going to go for 1-0 Everton.
1-0 to Everton.
Mm.
Okay. I mean, Karl, they only played each other the other night, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
And
they did.
we saw Bournemouth just take Everton apart.
They certainly did, actually. And I looked at Everton's performance yesterday. It was really dreadful. And a lot of the Everton supporters were very, very unhappy at the moment. We're on the front line pad at the moment, and especially like what Steve said, there's no goals at the moment. Calvert-Lewin is injured; he might be doubtful for the World Cup. And then also Neil Maupay has not scored much since he joined the club as well. I said that Everton do like a goal scorers at the moment, and like for Bournemouth, after Scott Parker with Gary O'Neill being still interim manager, did all right to get some decent results, but they've got, like I said, they went off the boil before our game gets them on Saturday, and you just see now that you've seen two struggling teams at the moment. I think for Lampard personally, he's under pressure from the fans, and the Everton fans do not take lightly when things go the way. There will be those banners coming out to tell one manager to get out of the club. They did that to Roberto Martinez, did it to Rafa, and at some point they're likely to do it to Frank Atwell if the Everton cannot get a result just before the World Cup. And I just can't see either of these teams winning. To quite honest, on Saturday, I think it'll be 1-1 draw between both Bournemouth and Everton.
1-1. I must admit, I thought this was going to be a draw, and then I realised that Bournemouth did Everton over. I said at the start of the season that this is going to be the main time when managers will be sacked, because I think owners will be looking at it thinking, yep, sack him now. Let's get a new manager in. We've got a week or so to maybe finalise things, and then 4 weeks for him to settle in, get to know the players that haven't gone away, and then coming back and they're there ready. Then they can assess what they want for January. Obviously, a few clubs haven't waited that long, but I honestly think that I can see Frank going. I really, really can. I'm going to actually go 2-1 to Bournemouth. 2-1 to Bournemouth, and goodbye, Mr. Lampard. Brad actually went for a 1-1 draw on that one. There's some interesting results in the cup tonight. Arsenal are currently losing to Brighton 3-1.
Wow.
Newcastle and Palace are 0-0. Here we go. I mean, if that doesn't make a smile on your face, Steve, this will. Forest are beating Tottenham 2-0. There we go. What could be more perfect night for you? Southampton and Sheffield Wednesday are 1-1. West Ham are beating Blackburn 2-1, so that'll please Dan. Wolves and Leeds are drawing 0-0 at the moment.
Just gone 1-0 actually to
Oh
Wolves.
God, literally, as I saw it then, yes, it's changed. Oh, with 5 minutes to go, Wolves have gone 1-0 up. Liverpool, come on. I mean, Liverpool, they couldn't beat Leeds for me. They couldn't beat Forest for me. And now they're not beating Derby at the moment. And Man City are 2-0 up against Chelsea. So we'll check on those again in 10-15 minutes when the games are over.
They're all playing the kids and that, though, aren't they? If you look at the teams that they've been put out, you don't recognise nearly all the names. So I think they're being disrespectful to the cup, and they're just playing all the kids and you've never even heard of.
Do you think? Let me just ask this: do you think that the Carabao Cup is it not needed anymore? I mean, certainly not for the Premier League clubs.
I think it's needed. I think this is what English football has grown up on. I don't think all these European games are needed. All these like Champions League down to conference, whatever it is. And I think that's where, the clubs are falling foul, because there's no need for these stupid competitions. FIFA are just making these games up. as they go along and competition's up, and that again is all for the top clubs. It's not for the minority clubs. So the clubs that need the money and the revenue, I think, they should stay.
Karl,
Absolutely.
do you think as Premier League needs the Carabao Cup still? And you're talking, I mean, we've won it in our recent history under Martin O'Neill, of course. We had a really, really good run. 3 times out of 4 in the final, 1, 2 of those. I'm just thinking, if we're going to disrespect it like, some of the teams are, I could say, has it had its day?
You look at the semi-finals and the final. They'll have the strongest teams out again. They'll be going, oh yeah, this is, and they'll want to win it, and that's where it's wrong.
He's got a point. He's got a point with that one. See, and the thing is as well, we've been hearing the last 24 hours about some of the Premier League clubs. Majority of the Premier League clubs are voting to, like I said, not to be probably participating in the Carabao Cup in the future. This new deal for football that's been talked about. But the problem is, you can get rid of the clubs that's going to be playing in Europe. They don't need it because they're going to be challenging. You could give it to the rest of the Premier League teams who are not even going for, not even in Europe. You can still keep the competition healthy. But as a matter of fact, you've seen countries like, with France scrapping their league cups because they're reducing their league to 18 teams from next year. So, but like Steve said, it's a joke how UEFA is changing this to the Swiss model when they're going to be playing 10 times more. And the thing is, you're not going to have this match calendar is going to be too much. And you don't need a lot of games for obvious reasons. Everything's what we still have currently still works. What's the point of changing it for something just for more money? And now we're seeing UEFA are still battling with the 3 clubs in around Europe with Madrid, Barcelona, and Juventus.
We can't even get, like last night, apart from a couple of games that Sky was showing, it's not, the TV aren't even interested in it. But
no,
we will see. We will see. Third game here, Steve. Liverpool. I mean, they're not doing it against Derby, but like you said, they've probably not got a full strength team out. Hosting Southampton. Under normal circumstances, you'd say this is a nailed on home win, but I don't know if it is the way Liverpool are playing at the moment.
Yeah, they have been rocking a bit, but I think they need to be rocking. They need to have a bad patch to get through it and to be better. There's a lot of clubs in the Premiership that are stale at the moment because the way things have been going. You play the same teams, you play the same way and stuff like that. And what's making it exciting is now that they're not getting in their own way, which football should be about. So, but I still think they've got enough to beat Southampton. So I'm going to go 2-0 Liverpool.
2-0 to Liverpool. Managerless at the moment, Karl. Or I mean, they're talking to is it Jones from Luton? Whether he will have time to get in and do anything in sort of the 3 days, Thursday, Friday. Probably won't make a bit of a difference. If he does sign him, he may well be in the stands. They look doomed, Southampton.
They certainly do, actually, and I don't know what the current model under Ralph was getting stale and staler, and you could see the players are not playing for him. He needed his last press conference for Southampton. He didn't answer the questions. He looked clueless. He looked very clueless. But for Nathan Jones, he left. This is the situation. He left Luton before to go manage Stoke, and look what happened there. He struggled at Stoke badly, and that's when Luton was under McHartford, got them promoted, and then he come back. Some of the fans were not forgiven. Those Luton fans were not forgiven. Yes, they got to the playoffs last season, and they lost to Huddersfield in the semi-finals. But as I say, he's now going again, and this is a huge, big one for Nathan Jones. If he can try get into the Southampton with, to try to do what Southampton, it's going to be a tough job for him if he does sign his contract and starts with the first team coaching before Friday, because it's huge. It really is huge, and I think Southampton will go down. I think I think they need to somehow change it up the transfer policy, because this is not working. You can't do this in the Premier League, especially if you're going to keep fighting for relegation every so often. But as I said, for Liverpool have been stale the last couple of weeks, even against those as well. And like I said, the announcement of the Liverpool selling either the stake or the rest of the full of the club is going to be having a huge effect on the Jurgen Klopp, because now we don't know, they might get more funds in January, but like I said, at the moment, Liverpool have to have the players. They got the players who are not going to the World Cup. A few of them will be, staying. But I just said, well, I just can't look beyond for Southampton. I think Liverpool will just win this 2-0, but the game will be pretty. I can say that.
Yeah, 2-0. I think Liverpool are going to find the scoring boots again with this one. I think this has come at the right time for them to sort of sign off for the World Cup with a good win. Like I say, Southampton, they're managerless, and that can sometimes that first game we've seen what happens. But I think his assistant manager's gone as well. I think it's just a mess at Southampton. I am actually going to go. I want to go with my first thought, which is 5-0 to Liverpool. I really do think that Liverpool are going to put Southampton to the sword. And Brad's gone 3-0 as well for that one. But no, I just think this is the game when Liverpool will find it. They beat Tottenham, although Tottenham weren't there in the first half. But we will see. West Ham have conceded against Blackburn. That's now 2-2. I think there's a fair few of these games are going to go into penalties. But anyway, so the next game, Steve, some team that's just up the M1 from us, bottom of the league. Did I mention? Sorry, did I say that out loud? Sorry, Nottingham Forest hosting Crystal Palace. Forest, I've just got to repeat myself now. Bottom of the league, 10 points, but then still not adrift. If the results go the right way and Forest gets a win, they would be jumped up to sort of, 17th place. And they're up against Palace. Had a good win last weekend against West Ham. 2-1. I don't think anybody... I wasn't expecting that. Palace sat there mid-table. Can you see Forest getting anything from this?
Well, they've got to start winning at some time, haven't they? But Palace are a funny side again. You got to catch Palace on a bad day. Or they could upset it. But looking at the table now, even from Forest's position on 10 points now to the 11th place, it's only 6 points different.
Yeah.
So everybody's going to be beating each other. And in between those, it's only a point in between those, 10 positions. So, I don't think it's relegation or thinking about games already for the way people are talking for a lot of clubs. So it all depends on. I don't think it's how Crystal Palace play, because we know how Palace are going to play. It's how Forest do. They've signed a lot of players. They've got to try and point out the best team and the best formation they can put out. And then until he finds that, then they're going to be struggling. So on that basis alone, I think Palace are going to win this 2-1.
2-1. Bad news, I'm afraid, for yourself, Karl. You've probably just seen it. 2-1, is it? No, 1-0. Sorry, Wolves 1, Leeds 0. Conceded in the 85th. Again, I don't know what sort of team you had out. But
we had a mix. Yeah, we had a mixture of experience and youth. We still played majority of our first team players, but we did play some youngsters as well in tonight's game. And like I said, they did quite well towards the 85th minute. So Leeds were mostly in that game. So, but unfortunately, we've gone out anyways. But our main priority is more focused on how we do well in the FA Cup and probably in the league now. I think the Carabao Cup is not what we kind of maybe should have done, but I think the FA Cup's going to bite for us because our record at the moment, the cup competition has been poor.
Yeah, and I've got to say, I'm gonna try and say this without a smile on my face, but Tottenham Hotspur I've got knocked out by Nottingham Forest, and all I can do is say this. Sorry, Tottenham. As much as it's not as Nottingham Forest, bye. Conte could be gone. Juventus haven't are keeping the door open. But Karl, what do you see Palace doing against Forest at the weekend? I mean, they've just won 2-0 in the cup. If anything, I think Forest are probably going to be the one team that are going to benefit from the World Cup because it gives them a chance. I know some of the players obviously are going to go with Wales and what have you, but it should give a lot of their squad a time to get together, get to bond, and get to know each other, sort of thing.
It will. I think this Northwest is going to be the biggest winners in this series break because they can get their players, on playing together. Because, like I said, like Steve said, they signed over 20 players. That's it's a lot, especially for a club that did have a lot of players who are at the end of the contract, end of last season. So Forest will be the biggest benefiters to try to get their squad blended together during this 4-week mid-season break, just season break, So I hopefully that could help them, stay in the league. But as I look at the moment, I think Palace, like I said, on the patch of here, we know how they'll play, and they play good, decent football. Palace, don't get me wrong, but I think the Forest players will be thinking, let's forget about this. We'll still want to try to get more in this game, but we got the mid-season break. We all get to know each other better. That team cohesion is more important for us, so let's just see what happens with this. But I think Palace, where they are at the moment, they have like 3 points above us, and they're really trying to get into the top 10 as well for themselves. And I just think Palace will win this game. But I think Forest will give them a game on Saturday. I will go 3-1 to Crystal Palace.
3-1. Okay. I mean, the problem with you don't know what, as Steve said, you don't know what Palace are going to turn up. But then again, you kind of do know what Forest are going to turn up. They're going to go, they're going to concede, then they're going to try and come back, having gone down, and you can only do that so many times. You obviously you did it against Bournemouth, but I just can't see Forest getting anything again, I'm afraid. And I'm not putting a Leicester bias on here, but I think they're going to lose it 3-2. I think it's going to be 3-2 to Palace. And I mean, Nottingham Forest, they conceded 30 goals, and that's going to be their problem. They've got the biggest goal difference, biggest minus goal difference in the league, and that could cost them come the end of the season. Penalties at a couple of games. Penalties have gone Southampton, Sheffield Wednesday, West Ham, Blackburn, Newcastle, Crystal Palace have all gone to penalties. Arsenal are out. Oh, God, I love Maisie's laugh. Arsenal are out as well. Never mind. North London will be in mourning tonight. Now, interesting. I know which way Steve's going to go with this one because whoever plays Tottenham, he goes to beat them. But could they actually really seriously do this, Steve?
Mate, for Leeds, this is the best time to play Tottenham. You could see, no matter what Conte does, it's off the pitch. It's what the players do on the pitch. And if you look at Tottenham and the way they annoy me is that every decision that goes against them, there's 10 players in the referee's face. They're too busy arguing about, you shouldn't give us a foul against us and things like that. Dyer, I think he's one of the worst players I've ever seen. And I think he's overrated. And I think if you get at Dyer and play on Dyer,
Do you know what? I said that earlier when we were picking our World Cup squad, but Dan insisted on him being in the squad, but I wouldn't take him. I agree with you.
No, I think he's a terrible player, and I think again it's down to Leeds. If Leeds go to Tottenham as the old Leeds and want to get in the faces and mess them about, that's Tottenham's game gone because they don't like teams like that that do it. And the longer it stays no goals, I think Leeds have got a great chance. But I'm going to go for Leeds anyhow, and I'm hoping it's going to be 2-0.
No surprise there. I'd have been disappointed if you had not. But yes, Karl, it is a good time to be playing Spurs, isn't it?
It is. It really is. And when we watched the game of Sunday and the last few weeks, they're just not at it. And I think Conte is taking too much of, letting the players play on the pitch. He's not on the pitch. He needs to just sit down and just tell his team what needs to do. Don't get into the referee and the officials' faces because you're not getting things your way. Come on. And like I said, who would you take, Dyer or Maguire? If you had two options, the English school, you take Dyer or Maguire. The problem is you can't choose one. You can't choose neither. Like what do we do? I would put Tamari, who's doing well at Ace, more than them two idiots. No disrespect, Tamari's had a better year than they have, But if we get into Tottenham's faces in the first 5-10 minutes, they're gonna crumble, and they can't cope with that because it's true they don't like teams, who plays that kind of style. And Wolves tried to do that before they lost 1-0. Wolves were pretty much in Tottenham's faces earlier in the season. So as I said, wouldn't be surprised if we get a result against them because it is the best time. If you said to us a few weeks ago with our losing run, we would have said that's not the best time, but the ties have turned between both these teams. So you know what? I'm going to go for 2-0 as well, actually, for Leeds, because I just think Spurs just will crumble a bit.
Right, so you are going as well. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I thought Tottenham would be doing better. And I mean, I know that's hard to say when they're actually sat in fourth place in the table. But I just think that they are so unpredictable. They've lost 4 games. Newcastle have only lost 1. Man City have only lost 1. Arsenal have only lost 1. Tottenham have lost, like I say, 4. And 3 of those have come in the last 5 games. They lost to Man United. They lost to Newcastle. And obviously, they lost to Liverpool. And in that Liverpool game, that first half, they were like a puppy rolling over for Liverpool to tickle the tummy, and Leeds, I've got to say, Marsh, I think, he was possibly within 90 minutes of losing his job. And he got you the Liverpool win. And you've won the last 2, beating Liverpool. And then obviously you had that amazing comeback against Bournemouth. And I think that was in fairness, I think that was a lot of naivety by Bournemouth. I think the fact that see your 3rd season helped you with that. And of course, the experience of the Bournemouth manager. You know what? I'm gonna agree. I think Leeds will get 3 points here because I just think it's all going tits up just for Spurs at the moment, and Conte's not going to be too happy. I don't know whether he's going to walk or whether we're giving the support or whether, say, Juventus will make him an offer. I'm only going to go 1-0 though. I think you'll just sneak it 1-0, but I think you will. I'm going to give you the win. I'm going to give you the win there. You can send me a PayPal payment later, Karl.
I will do.
We've still got penalties in progress. And Man City is still 2-0 up. I mean, Liverpool, we just said that, they can't even beat Derby. And, not being awful, even if they've not got the first teamers out, they should still be beating them.
They have been they brought on Nunes and a few of the Firmino on early in the game, and they still can't get nothing against Derby at this moment, which is very surprising.
Yeah. But I'm just looking here. Southampton, was that full time? Oh, it's Southampton 3, Sheffield Wednesday 3 on penalties, West Ham 3, Blackburn 3 on penalties. And it's finished. Newcastle have put out Crystal Palace. Newcastle win the third, the penalties 3-2. And a third penalty save for Nick Pope. So Nick Pope saves 3 penalties there. I think he's probably just put himself into the England squad. There.
He's in that squad. He's definitely in that squad tomorrow. There's no doubt about that. Actually, he's in that squad. Now,
whatever we say, Steve, the big game. There's no other game matters this weekend. Leicester on an amazing run. Rob Tanner at The Athletic said probably the World Cup, as good as it's maybe come for Nottingham Forest, it's come at a really, really, really bad time for Leicester. We could do without having the break now. West Ham, I'll tell you what, if they go out tonight, the absolute knives are going to be out for David Moyes. I was onto a channel the other day, a West Ham channel. Rob Ford from Iron is coming on mine tomorrow night for the preview, and the West Ham fans were very much getting annoyed with David Moyes. Doing well in Europe, but struggling at the moment. And they lost to who did they lose to? To Crystal Palace at the weekend. They've only won 1 in 5. We've won 3 in 5. Can Leicester do it away from home?
Interesting. I think Moyes is going through the same thing that Leicester manager went through, Rodgers, or going through. When he first went to West Ham, they were torrid and they wanted him out. But they stayed with him, and then they had a great season the following season. And they were all behind him saying how good he was. And now, same thing's happening this year. He's not getting it so good. I've got to go. I love Leicester a bit, I do that. And I'm going to go on the reverse psychology, because if I go on Leicester, West Ham will win. So I want to keep Leicester going on the good run they're on. It's going to be close, but I think West Ham will win this 1-0.
You've never seen this before, Karl, have you? Anybody goes for Leicester to lose, because that way Leicester will win. You'll get to, if you come on again, you'll be used to all this. But 1-0 to West Ham, but he does believe that Leicester will actually win. The neutral amongst us, Karl, which way do you see this going? Karl has muted himself.
I was muted, yeah. I'm not surprised what's been going on at West Ham, how the booing was today was after the game, the defeat to Crystal Palace. I know West Ham are not being at the way they are during the last 2 seasons, under Moyes, but I think for Leicester to get that result against Everton was huge, and you're becoming on a little bit of a run at the moment, which is good enough. It's really hard with these 2 teams who are very much in the top 10 nearly every season. It's surprising where both West Ham and Leicester are at the moment, and I think that the pressure's off on Rodgers a little bit now, but there's a little bit of pressure on David Moyes at the moment, where he's fought where West Ham are, and especially they now got through the Europa Conference group stages, so they don't have to worry about playing in the knockout stage. They can play in the last 16, so it gives them more time to improve their league form before the European state season kicks again for them. But I just think it will be a close game with this one. I think there's going to be a lot of chances for both sides. I think West Ham will edge it because the fans will be will be trying to get them up that performance to get rest and players, playing better. I'm going to say 2-1 to the Hammers.
2-1 to the Hammers. Oh, that hurt. That hurt. I mean,
it was. Listen, it was.
I'm gonna say that, mate.
I am serious.
We need VAR. West Ham actually, it's 6-6 on penalties with Blackburn. Now it's 7-7 on penalties with Blackburn. So that's that. Hopefully that's knackering, mate. Right, I'm gonna. Can I change my result for Leeds? Tottenham are going to stuff you. Come on, Tottenham. Come on. 2-1. Ouch, 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 ouch.
I love
Well,
Leicester. I think they play a little bit better. You got Madison on form. It was a hard thing. It's two hard teams. It's two teams that we least look up to as much. But it's a hard one to say for me, and I really try to bounce out. But I think the hope West Ham home fans will get them. Will push them through, and I think that's why I think it'll be two. That's why I said West Ham will win this game. It's a hard one.
Well, it's a good job I'm in the chat today because I'm going, believe it or not, obviously for a Leicester win. And, at the start of the season, we had a bad start. I think it just shows, I think Topper's stuck with Brendan. I think he stuck with him because, and I read this somewhere, that he maybe felt that he wasn't able to back Brendan in the summer transfer window the way that he would have liked to have done. Not that he didn't want to, but, with the FFP situation, we couldn't afford to. So he stuck with Brendan, and it's proved right. And I mean, if Brendan somehow manages to get us in the top 10 this season, stay next season as well, Brendan, because you'll have earned your money this season when you've done it with sort of, at the moment, only one signing. West Ham are a surprise. They are struggling. It is now West Ham 8, Blackburn 9 on penalties. I don't know which way this is going to go. And Liverpool Derby has gone to penalties as well. I'm just looking at West Ham, and they are. I mean, they had the one good. When the first time they had the good season, they finished just behind us. I thought the next season, which was last season, they would go back down and struggle. But Moyes got them to Europe. To a semi-final, obviously, in the Europa League, and he got them 5th again, I think it was. So I was surprised at that. This season, it might be getting a little bit too much for him now. I think Leicester, we're on such a good run of form. I think that Everton win was vital for us. Yes, all right, we lost to Man City, but the manner in which we lost, we restricted the Premier League's top goal scorers to 5 shots on target, and they only beat us by an amazing free kick. So, and we demolished Wolves, and I'm not sorry, Karl. We stuffed Leeds as well, 2-0. I'm pleased to say. I am going to go. Oh, do we keep another clean sheet here? That is the question. I am actually going to go. Yes, I think we're going to keep a clean sheet. I'm going to go 3-0 to Leicester because Vardy's hit a bit of form as well. That will have given him confidence getting a couple of goals last night. So, to you, Karl, I'm going to go 3-0 Leicester. Blackburn have knocked West Ham out of the Caribou Cup on penalties, 10-9. Warner has missed and Blackburn are through 10-9. Wow. And now West Ham are going to be coming into our game having just gone, and going out on penalties is the worst way to go out, aren't they? And they're out, and I think that will play in our favour. But 9-10, wow. Psychologically, Steve, that's going to affect West Ham players, isn't it?
To be fair, I don't think it will, because no, I think they're going to have the same mentality now that you've been hearing about. Okay, we've played in the Carabao Cup. We're at the Carabao Cup. Thank God we're at the Carabao Cup, because we've got Europe in our forefront, and we've got the Premiership, and they got the FA Cup. So, they've played in the Carabao Cup. They're knocked out now, so they can't have any more excuse. And I think they'll feel that that's the best decision for them to be out of it. So they'll just crack on. They'll just crack on now. So it's going to be hard for Leicester.
I'm going the other way. So we will agree to disagree. Let me don't like to sort of argue with you, Steve, but on this one you're wrong. Right, Newcastle hosting Chelsea. We know we love Eddie Howe. Probably going to be the next England manager. I thought Newcastle would do well this season. I think I got them in sort of 6th or 7th, just sneaking into Europe. What he's done, a bit like when Leicester won the Premier League, he's taken advantage of Liverpool struggles, Chelsea struggles, Man United rebuilding, sat in third. I thought, and I love Eddie Howe. I think he's done a great job down here at Bournemouth, and when he was here, and I just think he's doing so well, and I thought he was going to maybe get them, like I say, 7th, 8th or something, be there a season or two before a big name comes in, but you ain't going to get Eddie Howe out of that job unless it's the England job, are you, Steve?
I don't think you can. I think, Newcastle, absolutely breath of fresh air. I think when Eddie Howe went to Newcastle, and I think everybody watching Newcastle, it was just like watching cows in a field. The heads were down, they were just chewing grass all the time. But now the heads are up. They've spent money, but they haven't spent money unwisely. And the players that have been there a long time now look completely 100% different players. And that's all the way across the board, across the whole of the team. Goals are coming from all over the team. And I think they're going to railroad Chelsea. And Chelsea won't know what's hit them. And I'm going to go for 3-1.
3-1. Just to say that Derby went first on the penalties. They've scored their first, and Liverpool have just missed their first. So this is going to be interesting. Doug, your best friend, Karl. I called him two job Doug because he couldn't beat Forest for us, and then he couldn't beat you for us. It's going to be 3. He's going to have more jobs than he can handle at this rate.
I know.
But okay, let's have a look. Newcastle, Chelsea. Chelsea on the Chelsea. It was a weird one when they went for Potter, and I thought, well, let's have a look because maybe they've actually got it right. Maybe they're taking on an English manager that's coming good, that can improve, but it hasn't. They've done well in Europe again, but it's not quite working out for him in the Premier League, is it?
No, it's not actually. And look, Chelsea took a big risk of appointing an English manager because I think none of the top 6 clubs over the last decade have did appoint an English manager except for Roy Hodgson, who was at Liverpool. That's the last English manager there was who was managing the top 6 clubs since 2010, 2011. But it's difficult for Chelsea at the moment where they are with this transition, and I did just seen players, not up front and not finishing in the final third, and you see the difference with Newcastle. And like Steve said, they spent the money quite well, very wisely in the right players that they needed. Miguel Almiron is now the player that Newcastle fans have been waiting for since he came from Atlanta in the MLS. St. Maximin now is improving. You've seen John Traselvi, is back. Looking back to his Swansea days as they were seen as well. It's a lot of culture change at Newcastle. Every time I go through the train stage through to Newcastle when I'm on the train back, I see the place is buzzing again. I can feel the vibes when you're sitting there and you're just waiting for the vibes is back in Newcastle for the first time. And I think now it is a breath of fresh air that they could really challenge that top 4 now this season. And Eddie Howe's done a fantastic job, and he's definitely my next England manager in my line to take over Southgate at some point, so I will be, the way he's come a long way from Bournemouth, tough time at Burnley, came back to Bournemouth, been out of job for a bit, and he's done very well at Newcastle, things have changed so much, not just for the club, but for the city as well, indeed, because I know my cousins, my uncle, and he's got sons who are in the play football, and they're going to hopefully maybe have links with Newcastle Academy because they have been looked at. So there is a huge future of the future's there for Newcastle now, and it's really successful that it has been. It's now coming back to the old days when Kevin Keegan was the manager, was challenging for the title race. So this is going to be a huge change for Newcastle, and I think I agree with Steve. I think Chelsea will just have a bad day again. I just really do. After that performance against Arsenal, I am going to say 4-1 to Newcastle.
4-1. Just to say, at Liverpool Derby, it's like who can miss the most penalties at the moment. Firmino apparently has just taken the worst penalty ever. The goalkeepers have been saving, so it's still 1-1. I don't know how many they've got left, but it's 1-1 at the moment. I've got to say, I was surprised, like I say, at the Chelsea signing Potter. I thought Potter was getting hyped up so much, and I like Potter the next England manager, Potter this, Potter that, and I said, look, what has he done? I think this might be a job too far for him. He had to take it. I can't, because you don't know when these jobs are going to come along again. And let's be honest with you, he fails, he gets sacked, he gets a couple of million, in the bank, so he's not going to lose out. But no, Newcastle are going to win this. I'm going to go 3-0 to Newcastle. And I should say, I have forgotten to be reading out Brad's results, so let's just go through his. He's got Manchester City 3, Brentford 0, Bournemouth 1, Everton 1, Liverpool 3, Southampton 0, Nottingham Forest 0, Crystal Palace 2. Now, to say that he doesn't like Spurs, he's gone Tottenham Hotspur 5, Leeds United 0.
As he usually does.
He's gone West Ham 0, Leicester City 3, Newcastle 3, Chelsea 1. Now, he's gone for Arsenal to win 2-0 against Wolves. I know they've just got knocked out, Steve, but like you say, it probably wasn't the strongest team they could have put out. I know you've been anti-Arsenal, but you want them to do well, as I do, because I want to see somebody different win the league. I think Arteta's done an amazing job there. Wolves have got the new manager in, but what can he do in one game? He needs that World Cup break. This is going to be Arsenal, isn't it?
I don't know, to be honest. I think Wolves are another Leeds, aren't they? At the moment, they're like the stubborn drone specialists. They're going to go out there. They're going to make it hard for Arsenal. I want Arsenal to win purely because I don't want Man City to walk away with the league. But this one, I think this one might be hard for them. I still think they'll have enough to beat Wolves, so I'm going to go 1-0 Arsenal.
You're going to go 1-0 Arsenal. Can you see Wolves getting anything from this, Karl?
Not really. I really don't. I think they were a bit disappointed against Brighton. To be honest, they couldn't keep the ball. The final third was struggle for them, and I think Brighton looked better going attacking third. It's like it's a breath of fresh air now for Brighton, but for Arsenal, interesting with this one. I think they've always been good against Wolves. So I wouldn't be surprised that again. Arsenal will beat them, but I think Wolves. I think at the moment they're just focusing on this mid-season break with Junior Lopetegui coming in for the new manager once he takes over. From the interim manager Steve Davis. So I think Wolves are on hold at the moment. Because most of the Portuguese players, will be in that squad for the World Cup. And also, I think the players, they will just look at think about how we can play better, more attacking after on Boxing Day, which is more credible. And I think Arsenal, they need to keep winning games at the moment if they want to try. Like I said earlier, they want to challenge Man City. I think Arteta's done a really good job, and it's not a surprise. I'd say as well. I think Arsenal will win this. I will say 2-0 to the Gunners. I think it would be just to prove that they can get a clean sheet.
Yeah. Just to say, Liverpool have gone through on penalties, 3-2. I think you can say to Doug Karl that they're lucky bastards to get through that way. And Firmino maybe needs to take some penalty practice.
Well, he's not going to the World Cup anyways, Firmino, so he will have that time to practice penalty since he's not been selected for the Brazil squad.
Sorry, but I was just getting rid of another one of our sex bots that has come in. I can't see Wolves need this international break to get the new manager bedded in and get used to it. I don't know if he's taken training yet or not.
No, he has. I think his contract won't start till after the Arsenal game. So
right. Well, in that case, that even makes it for me because I don't think the Wolverhampton Wanderers. I think they were a mistake to even sort of try and keep the guy in charge. I think they're going to get stuffed. I'm going to go 4-0 Arsenal. No, I'm not going to go 3-0 Arsenal. There we go. You watch it before now. Brighton and Hove got a new manager. Win one, lose one, draw one, shake it all about. I don't know, but I mean they're still up there in sixth. Lost, drawn, lost, but they have won their last two. I mean they beat Chelsea 4-1. That was always going to be on the cards. I think you could see that come in. And of course, they beat Wolves 3-2. That was close. That was close. And then you got Villa with the Unai Emery. Good evening, coming back in and getting an instant response against Man United. One off for Aston Villa, or can they do it again, Steve?
No, I think Aston Villa, you're going to see a different Villa now. I think, the players made the point that they didn't want to play under Gerrard. They played with a lot more freedom against Manchester United. And so I think you'll definitely see a different Aston Villa. And I think they'll go on a good run now. Brighton, they're up there, but they're not playing that well. So I'm going to go 2-0 Villa.
2-0 Villa. Were you surprised at the instant success? I mean, it was against the Man United side, which, again, you don't know which Man United were going to turn up. The only thing is you knew that probably Ronaldo wouldn't turn up, or if he did turn up, he'd leave early. But, I mean, bless him, he's had an instant impact. And also, are you surprised that the players, and it's quite obvious they didn't want to play for Gerrard. As soon as he left, it was a 4-0. Like they lost 4-0 to Newcastle the following week. But did that surprise you how they were reacting with Gerrard?
Not really, no, actually. I think this was Gerrard's biggest test, if becoming a Premier League manager, it was his biggest test. And, we see how he was as a player, a little bit great. But I think now we're seeing him as a manager in the Premier League. I don't think he can cut above it, can cut the mustard at the moment. And I think when we saw that reaction, there was a lot more freedom. They were playing the players that should have deserved to play, such as John McGinn, who was out of form, and he's the captain who gave him the captaincy, which was still one of those very controversial. And then Emery coming in, it was a surprise result game against Man United, to beat the 3-1, and I think he's the right type of manager that they need, Villa, because they got that huge loads of money and they want to redevelop the stadium and try to get back into Europe in the next 5 to 10 years. That is something that's why they're vital. Newcastle could have had Emery last season before Eddie Howe, and we don't know what. And then all things could have been blossomed for Newcastle or Villa. Or Villa will still be the same under Gerrard. But I said for Brighton, De Zerbi, trying to make Brighton more better attacking. Yes, they need to be better at defensive, but he wants to make sure they can score better in the final third as well, which they have done the last 2 games, but they do need to keep most of the goals down. And yeah, they're in the top 6 at the moment. Can they keep that going towards the end of the season? It'll be tough for them because they think this mid-season break is the wrong time for them. It won't benefit them, especially coming back in Boxing Day and just start again, because Brighton will still have most of the players not going to the World Cup. Only Moses Caicedo is a big player for them, who will be part of the Ecuador national team. So it depends on how he comes out fit enough after the break. It's vital for Brighton to make sure he comes out as a fit player, not too tired. So, but as I said, these are 2 good teams at the moment. But I think Villa, with the last few games, have bounced back very well. I think this will be a 2-1 win for Aston Villa.
Right. Yeah, I think they've got ambitious owners. They were certainly looking at it. I think when I heard about when they first took on Steven Gerrard, they were coming out and saying sort of, we want to take it step at a time. They seem to sort of have the right philosophy. They took a gamble on Gerrard. Obviously, the rumours are now he might be going back to Scotland and Rangers. Yep. I mean, again, Gerrard took it. I'm sure he'll bounce back. And I don't know whether he'll ever actually now make it as Liverpool manager. We'll see where it goes in the future. But maybe he needs to take a championship team first and build it up that way. Being an ex-player, look at Lampard struggling. They all seem to struggle. Emery didn't end up going to Newcastle, and he probably regrets that. Well, he did. He changed his contract when that fell through. I think if he'd been given time at Arsenal, he would have sorted things out at Arsenal. But I think, when you look at that, he probably thinks like, why wasn't I given the support that, Arteta's been given? And I think he's got unfinished business. I'm going to have to agree with you, Karl. I'm going to go 2-1 on that one. And Brad actually went 2-2. He's gone for a Desmond. He went for a Desmond. Last game, Fulham hosting Man United. I've got to give full credit to Fulham. I thought they were going to struggle. I didn't think the manager was the best, Premier League manager, a bit like Scott Parker. But my God, they sat there in ninth. They've won 5. They've lost 5. They've conceded 24, but they've scored 23. They beat Villa 3-0. I'm sorry. they beat Leeds 3-2. Sorry, Karl.
No point. Listen, I'm not bothered about that now. That's done. So.
Every time I have a look at the game, whoever's won has beaten Leeds. They were so unlucky against Manchester City, weren't they, Steve?
Yeah, this is the big difference in this game, the two teams. You got a Fulham team where everybody wants to play for the manager. Everybody wants to play the system that the manager wants to play. On the other opposite side, the opposition, you got Manchester United. No matter what manager goes in there, there's too many strong characters. Everybody wants to play the game their way, and I think that's apparent on the pitch because there's no system to the way they play. Hernandez wants to play how he wants to play. Ronaldo wants to play how he wants to play, and I think till he gets that right and gets rid of some of the big names, Man United are going to struggle. You're coming up against teams now that are compact, want to play for the manager, want to play for the club. They know how to play for the club. They're happy to play any system the manager changes. But you look at Man United, at the moment, the load of crybabies. If the system changes, they're moaning with each other on the pitch. And I think that's the thing. Man United need to go back to the basics and start buying team players instead of big name individuals. And I think that's the only time you'll see Manchester United change. So I think they're going to carry on struggling while that is happening. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 Fulham win.
A 2-1 Fulham win. Okay. Let me put that one in. I can see where Steve's coming from, Karl. I'm surprised Man United are doing so well, but it is going to be, I think, a few seasons. He's got to do what Arteta's done, and I think he'll struggle in this one. Do you? I think Fulham have got a good chance here.
They do, and I think what Michael Silva is, he tried it at home, and he needed to get hold in the Premier League a few years ago, and they went down. He tried it, went to Watford, had a very good, decent season with them, and then went to Everton controversially, and then he struggled with that one. For him to bounce back, at Fulham, I think he's the right fit for that club because, Fulham was becoming a yo-yo club. And I think the way he's coming and getting players like Mitrovic, who couldn't even score barely much in the Premier League, at Newcastle and then at Fulham, he's now scoring his boots. And Andres Pereira, who they bought from Manchester United, he looks a good, decent player in that midfield for that box midfielder role to pass the ball to when Mitrovic is passing forward. They have really got good, decent players for them, and give credit to them. They've really bought some good players, this season that fits that Michael Silva style. And like I said, it's been tremendous to see Fulham doing well because Fulham was becoming like West Brom again. When under Scott Parker, spending so much money going up and down, but they have done did certain business. And for Manchester United, I think the Ronaldo issue is going to be an issue. Like Steve said, it's going to be an issue until what Man United does give him his pays when he made his contract in January, or do they just wait till the end of the season to let him go? It's Man United have got tough choices, and it's going to take a few years for Ten Hag to get the players that he needs to rebuild that Man United team that has been an issue since 2013, and they've not won a Premier League title since then. So it is going to take a long, long time. But I think Fulham, done so well, decent run, and been in the top 10. That they have surprised me as well this season, because they were one of the teams that are thinking they'll be relegation favourites, but they'll struggle towards the mid-World Cup break. But this is, but they've done so well. But they think, again, this is another team that thinks it's the bad time for them, that the World Cup is stopping them, so it stops their good running form. But I could see Fulham do something against Manchester United, and I'm going to go what Steve said. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win for Fulham.
2-1 win to Fulham. I've got to be honest with you. I think Fulham will get something from this. But that said, I just don't know which Man United are going to turn up. I mean, here we go. Drawn, won, lost. That's the Man United way. So maybe they're due a win. They drew with Newcastle. They beat Tottenham. They drew with Chelsea. They beat West Ham. And then, of course, last week they lost to Villa. I really, really don't know which Man United is going to turn up. But I'm gonna go for a Desmond. I haven't had a Desmond tonight, so I'm gonna go for a 2-2 on that one, and end it on that. So I think Fulham will get the point, but I think Man United might just be a little bit too strong for them. But guys, thank you very much. That is it. That is for the last prediction show before the World Cup. Have a happy Christmas, Steve.
Yes, yeah, mate, thank you.
Wait, look, we'll do something for the World Cup. I'm sure we will. But I appreciate you coming on and giving up your time for this. I will speak to you. Have a great Christmas to you and all your family, and we will speak soon. Thanks very much, Steve.
Cheers, guys. Thank you. Enjoyed it.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
See you, matey.
Right, let's just get rid of this. That's the wrong button that I pressed. There we go. Tomorrow, Karl, thank you very much for coming on. Tomorrow is the England squad announcement. I thought it was 12. Apparently, it's 2:00.
Okay, that's fine. I'm on with Dan early tomorrow afternoon, so I'll see how I do time-wise.
Right.
Because
Are you doing the England one with him?
Yes, I am.
That's fine then. No, because we'll be doing it at the same time. So no, not a problem. Where can people find you?
Yeah, absolutely. People can find me at Karl Levy 92 on Twitter, and they can find the Totally Levy and Hot Football Podcast YouTube Twitter account at the LH Football Pod, and we also got a Facebook page as well, and also a YouTube page where we put our content on called the Totally Levy and Hot Football Podcast. And we're also on the go as well on podcast services on Spotify, both audio and video, and as they launched it earlier this year, and also on Google, Apple, and other podcast services.
Thanks so much for popping on. It was quite late notice, so really do appreciate it, mate. All the best to you, and bring on the World Cup.
Absolutely.
Take care, buddy. Thank you very much.
Take care, Chris. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Thanks to Karl there for coming on and doing that for us. It's going to be interesting. Right. We are going to go. We will be back tomorrow at 2:00 or just before 2:00 for the England squad announcement. And the Madison, yes, no, in, out, shake it all about. It's going to be interesting. Thanks for watching. And if you've been listening on the podcast, thank you for listening on the podcast and lending me your ears. Mr. Fox, go on, say goodbye. There he is. Bye-bye. So well trained. We will be back, like I say, tomorrow. And just thank you very much for popping in. I hope you are well. If you haven't seen you before, so if you're new, please give us a subscribe. That would mean an awful lot to us. I will see you tomorrow, like I say. And then tomorrow night at 8:45, 8:45, we've got the West Ham preview. So looking forward to that. We've got a couple of West Ham channels coming on. So we will see you then. Take care, everybody. Stay safe, and thank you for watching. Thank you for joining in. I will see you tomorrow night. No, tomorrow lunchtime. Good night.
That's all, folks.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye, and see you next time.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
Leicester Till I Die TV. They think it's all over. It is now.